Who are you? So stupid. Take a breath and answer me. Just because you are shaking and have an attitude, it doesn't impress me. Don't be smart with me. Straighten up your attitude. People are watching you today. Do you still live with your mother?
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. A miracle happened in September of 2018, something we've never seen happen before in American politics, and we'll never see it happen again. Kamala Harris told the truth. Flanked by a bunch of Republicans on Capitol Hill, inside of the Senate, Kamala Harris said, having voting machines that are hooked up to the internet is a bad idea, and it's going to make our elections insecure. Maybe we should go to all paper ballots counted by hand. Watch.
We are talking with them about the fact that it is probably best that you do not have your election system connected to the internet, because that will create greater vulnerabilities. And then look at where we are now in this year of our Lord 2018. We're talking about paper ballots, but that actually might be one of the smartest systems.
Oh, well.
Going back to, a day when we could have something tangible that we can hold on to, because Russia cannot hack a piece of paper like they can a computer system connected to the internet.
Russia cannot hack a piece of paper like they can a computer system connected to the internet. And strangely enough, somebody from the Obama administration, meaning an Obama judge, somebody appointed by Barack Obama, this judge in Georgia has found that electronic voting violates the Constitution. This is crazy. Constitutional challenge to Georgia's voting machine set for trial in early next year. Question on whether Georgia's electronic voting system has major cybersecurity flaws that amount to a violation of voters' constitutional rights, may cast votes and may have their votes accurately counted, is set to be decided early next year. U.S. District Judge Amy Totenberg issued a 135-page ruling on Friday in a long-awaited lawsuit filed by activists who want their states to ditch its electronic voting machines in favor of hand-marked paper ballots. The state had asked the judge to rule in its favor based on the arguments. In fact, this is a Republican state begging to get insecure electronic voting. This just shows you how absolutely effing twisted those people are in Georgia. But the court said no, that this actually amounts to a constitutional violation of your rights to vote. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not just in Georgia. In Pennsylvania, interesting how it's these must-win states by Democrats where we start to have all these problems, right? In Pennsylvania, voters reach peak mistrust of voting machines in glitch for second time. This is an amazing situation where you have documented instances of the voter going in and casting a vote on an electronic machine and it counting the opposite vote, counting the opponent, the person you vote against. It counts that person for your vote. It flips your vote. Pennsylvania courts, voters are doubting the integrity of local elections in Swing County of Northampton after issues with touchscreen voting devices arose. Most recent election day, the glitches were similar to those seen in the county's 2019 judges race. Election officials are scrambling to ensure the trust in the voting system as voters and local leaders alike are sounding the alarm. Saturday's Politico revealed. Well, what's that article look like? Voting machine trouble in Pennsylvania County triggers alarm ahead of 2024. This is what the machine looks like. You can cast your vote here, and then the votes will be switched. We're at peak mistrust of one another, but until that subsides, counties like ours need to be nearly perfect. I think this system allows us to do that. Yeah, right. The debate playing out in Northampton comes as election officials across the country are still contending with the consequences of Donald Trump's 2020 fraud claims, which often centered around how votes were counted on a local level. Trump, the current frontrunner of Republican nomination, skeptics say they will only mount. So what exactly happened in this county? The 2019 election was the first time Northampton, this is a county in Pennsylvania, this is an all-important swing state, by the way, of Pennsylvania. Joe Biden apparently won it by 80,000 votes. Donald Trump won by 44,000 votes in 2016. Again, these are thin margins, both elections. The 2019 election was the first time Northampton used the touchscreen voting machines from election systems and software. That year, the programming glitch caused the machines to significantly undercount the votes for the Democratic candidate in a local judge's race. Then on November 7th of this year, Northampton residents who showed up at their local polling stations found that the printouts from the same devices didn't match the votes that they had submitted digitally. for their down ballot judges. Like in 2019, county officials have said that the errors did not affect any of the votes. Really? Prove it, you dumb jackasses. Please. Both uncompetitive up-down votes on whether to retain state judges, they argue that the machines themselves are highly reliable and not to blame, saying that people caused the one-off human error programming. Oh, really? One of the things that I've learned through 19 and 23 is that the machines that we have have a great deal of redundancy built in. Oh, really? Redundancy. Please, give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. People are saying online, every single Northampton County voter should sue the county for this travesty. This is disgusting. These machines cannot be used for another election. New second election day voting machine issue in 4 years sparks concern. In Pennsylvania Swing County, direct impact of the error was minimal, but it caused a lot of confusion. Well, who says it's minimal? If you miscount a single vote, you are depriving someone of their constitutional rights. So that is not minimal. And again, as we've detailed here, in Georgia, an Obama judge is now saying electronic voting is unconstitutional. It is amazing to me, by the way, how is it possible that in Argentina, which was the last big election I can think of, Argentina counted 27 million votes by 9 p.m. 27 million. But places like Maricopa County take 3 to 4 weeks to count 800,000 votes. How is that possible exactly? Someone please explain that to me. Seems a little strange. Northampton County Election Commission Board certifies election result 2 weeks after ballot printout error. Yep. Look at this lady. Yeah. Does it mean Joe Biden can win? Look at this guy. Does it mean Joe Biden can win? This is the machine, by the way.
The new voting machines that will be introduced in the November 2019 election. The machines are similar to what we're currently using in that they are touchscreen.
Look at this.
The change is that there's a piece of
Look at this lady.
thermal imaging paper, which I already placed in the machine. And when you put that in there, then your screen comes up.
Why don't you just vote by hand? Why don't you just fill out a bubble? Why don't you do that? That's the way voting has been done for 250 plus years in this country. Why don't you just tick the box with a pencil or a pen? Why do we need to overcomplicate this and put goblins like this lady, leftist orcs like this lady, in charge? Why? Look at these people. Of course, these people immediately certified the election, even after the machines were switching votes. Please. Very important thing to note, ladies and gentlemen, that they have, and by they, I mean, of course, our political ruling class, they broke elections in this country for a reason. They broke elections in this country to benefit them, period. 1,500 proven instances of voter fraud that have been charged. 1,200 criminal convictions. You can search the database here at the Heritage Foundation. You can find place after place, election after election. Every single state in America has voter fraud. Always and forever. Voter fraud. Some places, like in Bridgeport, Connecticut, have so much voter fraud that they have to throw out the actual elections. There's a situation in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it doesn't involve electronic voting, it involves mail-in voting. So electronic voting is a whole other beast. Mail-in voting. Mail-in voting has the same problem, right? Where it's unaccountable, and anyone, including Wanda here, as you can see on your screen, Wanda, who works for the city, who works for one of the people who was running in this local election in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Wanda just walks up with a gigantic bag of ballots and shoves those ballots in. Got it? Yeah, shove it in, Wanda. You take it, ballot box. Fraud, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you make your elections unaccountable. When there's no physical paper trail in your elections. What happened to the ballots that Wanda's shoving in there is as soon as those ballots are removed from the envelopes, then there's nothing connecting that ballot to the voter because they don't have signature matching. So it has the exact same problem. And now you can see exactly how absolutely rife for complete and total fraudulence this system is. Ladies and gentlemen, what you can see in the corresponding stories are, of course, all of the times when these mail-in balloting, and this is the judge, by the way, that declared that there is the volume of ballots so mishandled that it calls into the result of the primary election into serious doubt and leaves the court unable to determine the legitimate result of the primary. Judge Clark wrote in his ruling that the videos are shocking to the court and should be shocking to all parties. This is in Connecticut. In New Jersey, the Paterson City Council president stole mail-in ballots, destroyed the ballots that didn't vote for him. He and his wife just went from mailbox to mailbox and just stole the ballots. It couldn't possibly happen if people were voting in person, but here they are. Also, the machine errors couldn't possibly happen if people were voting in person because people are literally filling out bubbles for the candidates that they want. And if they mess up their ballots, then they go strike their ballot and get another one. You go to the little old lady running the booth. But here we go. Paterson City Council president stole mail-in ballots, destroyed the ones that didn't vote for him, and then replaced the votes of people. Insane. Same thing's happening in Massachusetts.
Actually caught a woman on camera going into his mailbox stealing ballots. This is the Ring camera video appearing to show a woman taking out 3 ballots from a Lawrence man's mailbox. This is the man who didn't want to be identified, but says he went to go vote in person on Election Day last week and was told, according to the list, he already voted. That's when he checked his camera footage and then contacted police. The Essex County District Attorney's Office and Secretary of State, William Galvin, are now looking into any allegations of potential voter fraud.
We're going to get all the ballots out of Lawrence. We're going to get all the mail-in ballots, and we're going to review everything and all the provisionals and reconcile the lists. And if further investigation contacting some of the people who allegedly voted by mail needs to be done, we will do it.
There are 2 reports of potential voter fraud or stolen ballots right now in Lawrence.
There may be more. It's premature to say how many.
The second report filed was from this Lawrence woman who's still waiting for elections officials to decide whether her in-person vote will count or the mail-in, which she says has her signature forged.
How come it's not going to be counted if I'm voting right in front of you and I'm telling you that that vote that you have there is not mine?
That vote that you have there is not mine. What the hell is that about? That lady showed up to vote and her signature wasn't hers. It wasn't her vote. Fraud. They committed fraud. That's what happened. I mean, somebody please explain it to me. Slowly and simply. Either that woman is going on to the local news station cameras as a criminal, knowing that she's voted twice, right? Which should be easy to prove. Or somebody stole her mail-in ballot and voted for her. We now have proof. Massive 2020 voter fraud uncovered in Michigan, including an estimated 800,000 ballot applications sent to non-qualified voters. Bags of prepaid gift cards, guns, silencers, burner phones. Democrat-funded organization in multiple territories, facilitating multiple states. Dark money organizations doing what? Hoovering up ballots. Notice it was a guy who didn't speak English. The guy was talking to the cameras in Spanish. I'm not saying you can't vote if you can't speak English. Those aren't the rules of the country. But notice it was a man who works and lives inside of a specific community that had his ballot harvested from him and then filled out, and they voted for him. Well, that's exactly what happens here in Arizona, where a Democrat official went through the Latino community of San Luis, a border community in Arizona, and just filled out all their ballots for him. She's now facing federal criminal charges. Guillermina Fuentes, Arizona woman accused of collecting ballots in 2020 and filling them all out and voting She's a well-known Democratic operative in the border city of San Luis. She persuaded voters to gather and fill in and fill out their ballots. Same thing happening here in Wisconsin. By the way, there's a corresponding story just like this in Iowa where a Republican lady was doing it. The wife of one of the candidates for office is now facing 50 charges of filling out absentee ballots for people inside the Vietnamese community in Sioux City, Iowa. Same thing. Exact same thing here. Starting to see a trend. Republicans are moving forward with articles of impeachment against election administrator in Wisconsin. Why? Because she unlawfully promoted maladministration of the use of ballot drop boxes and promoted and encouraged illegal alterations of absentee ballot applications during the administration of the 2020 presidential election. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Donald Trump saying that there are 3,600 individual ballots that were duplicated in Georgia. Now, why would you ever duplicate a ballot? That don't make any sense. How are there ballot duplications? That's very, very curious. It's a very strange thing to say. You know what else is a very strange thing to say? Joe Biden saying that he's created the greatest voter fraud organization in American history.
Together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Am I allowed to just take Joe Biden as word? Do I have to just like fill in the blanks there? Is this like ad libs? Joe Biden saying you did this for the Obama administration and now you are doing it for me. We've created the most comprehensive voter fraud organization in America. Can somebody please put a footnote on that? Not an altered video. Nobody has messed with that video. That's a real video. Joe Biden really said that. Am I allowed to believe him? Here's what I want. And I brought you news of Republicans committing voter fraud too. This is not about a Republican versus Democrat issue, although it does seem to be a trend that the vast majority of voter fraud and elections that get thrown out by judges are happening in Democrats, but nonetheless, doesn't make it any more right when Republicans do it. I don't want anyone to do it. I want secure elections in this country. Republican, Democrat, whoever comes out on top, comes out on top. Trust me. I'm a registered Republican. Like, over the last 20 years, Republicans are used to losing. Okay, that's not the issue. The issue isn't to rig elections, and the issue isn't so that Republicans win elections forever. That's not going to happen. What people want is fairness in our elections. They want security in our elections. They want transparency in our elections. And they want to be able to see physical evidence of people's voting. They want to be able to audit their elections. And they want there to be a verifiable record of how we vote and who we voted for to ensure that your vote is what it was intended to be, a constitutionally protected right, and a right that is the most precious right and the most sacred right in this country. For secure elections, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny, fighting out here, one of the few people talking about it. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep hearing the good news. See ya.